Okay, good morning, grade 11s. It seems like yesterday you had a bit of a problem with the sound, so I will try and speak as loud as possible. Just bear in mind that it is quite difficult for me to get everything done. So yesterday we talked about tax and we talked about VAT. If you go through your exercises, just quickly looking at exercise 1 on page 187. There are many things that we already spoke about. We did exercise 1. If you go to page 188, so therefore just quickly everyone page to 188. Okay, it's not a question, it's a request. So therefore if you quickly look at this one, unfortunately I can't just show you the thing. I'm doing the best that I can. It says use the summary at the bottom of the still slip to answer the following questions. Just a couple of things that we need to look at just before we go on. It says in question number 3, so 3A, what is the total amount of this bill? If you look there, the total amount is 288 and 22 cents. It's very easy, very simple. It's the total amount. What did you pay? Okay, it's that simple. Now, if you look at question number B, it says how much of this bill excludes VAT? Okay. Now, if you look to the left, you'll see that there's the total, credit card, change, and then there's reference rate, net, tax, gross. Okay, I can quickly show you like this though. I don't know if you're going to see this over there. Right, and so what it means is you're going to look at those two at this point. Okay, which one, how much of this bill excludes VAT? Okay, so you'll see that the first one, reference 0, rate 0, net 170, tax 0, gross 170. Okay, so just to give you an idea how much of this bill excludes VAT, there's your answer. Okay, it means that there's 0% VAT paid on 170 Rand. That is the amount that was excluding of VAT. Okay, so if you look at the gross, you'll see it's 170 Rand and 30 cents. Very simple. That excluding VAT. Okay, those were the items that were excluded of VAT. So it's VAT exempt, as we said yesterday. We talked about that as well. And so what do we call the items found in the answer to B? VAT exempt items. Very simple, very straightforward. It's the one that the government is trying to alleviate a bit of pressure on. Okay, now number D, that's the one I want to get to. It says, what is the amount on which VAT must be paid? Now look at the same place. Okay, so we said that the reference, you'll see at the bottom, at the top there, at the total. So it says reference, reference is number 1. The rate is 14%. Okay, now gentlemen, we have two prices over here on totals over here. We have the net price and then we have the gross price. Okay, gross means total. Okay, I'll explain this and as we get into today's thing as well. But gross means total. Okay, the gross amount. Okay, net means like before or after deductions and stuff like that. I'll talk to you guys about this. Okay, but what I want to show you is that what is the amount on which VAT must be paid? Very simple. You look at this one. Remember we said that value added tax is something where a value has been added to. So therefore, if you take the initial price and then you add the value to it, okay, you'll pay tax on that. So what it means is like VAT is on top of the price. So therefore, okay, what is the amount on which VAT must be paid? We must pay tax or VAT on 103 Rand 44 cents. Okay, let me just say that again. So it's 103 Rand 44 cents. Okay, if you look on your book, you'll see it over there. It's on the net, and that is the amount that we need to pay VAT on. Okay, very simple. That's what they asked us. We just answered the question. What is the amount? We said that we have to pay a tax on 103 Rand 44 cents. The next one, number E, how much VAT must be paid? Now you just simply, if it's not shown, okay, you just calculate it. Okay, it's supposed to be 15. We talked about this as well. But what you do is you just check next to the thing. It says tax is 14 Rand 48. There we go. How much VAT was paid? 14 Rand and 48 cents was paid. Straightforward, simple, write it down. Okay, now this is the next one to say that how much, number F, show by calculations how the answer was, how the answer to E was obtained. Okay, so what you do is basically you take your 103 Rand and 44 cents and you times it by 14 over 100, 14% over 100, that gives you 14 Rand 48. You add them together, it gives you the gross amount, and so therefore you get to 117 Rand 92. Very simple, gentlemen. That's straightforward. Okay, so number 4 really is also the same. You can just go through the items as well. Okay, so what I want to do is today, excuse me, we need to get to UIF. Okay, now I don't know if any of you have heard of UIF or what it stands for, but if you're quite clever, you'll see just at the bottom of your page 188 there, it stands for you nicely. So what I want you to do is just follow on and try and follow along with me at this point, if you don't mind, and we're going to see. So the first question is, what is UIF, and have you ever heard of it? Okay, so UIF stands for the Unemployment Insurance Fund. Okay, let me just get this there for you. Okay, and so let me just explain this to you. Is as employees and an employer. Okay, it's very important for us to have UIF. Okay, so what UIF means is unemployment. Okay, so it's unemployment insurance. It means that you are paying and that your employee is paying towards the day that if something happens, the business goes out, you get retrenched and stuff like that, that at least there's a bit of a buffer that you can fall back onto. Okay, this means that you're paying insurance that for the day that when you become employed, that you're able to get some money back. Okay, so the nice little explanation, it gives a short-term relief to workers when they become unemployed or unable to work, excuse me, because of maternity, adoption leave, and or illness. Okay, so those are a couple of things why UIF is very crucial. So just for me, just to explain this to you quickly, UIF is X amount of your salary that you pay to the government, and your employer also matches the same amount, plays it into the government. So for the day that when you either have maternity leave, your adoption leave, you become ill, maybe get retrenched, you can claim UIF. Okay, and that's just to help you in the transition period in between your job seeking. Okay, so just a couple of interesting things for you guys, like may all employees claim from the UIF, and so yes, all may claim from the UIF, so unemployment, excuse me, unemployment insurance fund, except for, now this is very important for you guys just to remember, and this is just for your own interest. Okay, it's moving along into life, especially after matric, when you want to get a job. These are just a couple of things that you need to remember as well. Okay, so if you're working less than 24 hours a month, okay, it's nothing. If you do 1 hour, if you work 1 hour in a day, then you are able to claim UIF. Okay, but if you work less than 24 hours in a month, then unfortunately you can't claim UIF. Okay, also employees that do not comply with the law. Okay, what it means is that if you get suspended for claiming benefits from the UIF, or making a false statement, committing fraud, and not informing UIF and stuff like that, they can just decide to say, nope, unfortunately you can't claim. Okay, that's very simple, straightforward. I'll keep it simple. Now, an employee may only claim benefits for the period in which she or he is employed or unemployed. Okay, what this means is that when you're claiming UIF, okay, you can only claim from the day that you stop working until you find a new job. Okay, you can't claim further on. Okay. So also you cannot claim if you have employee receives benefits from a compensation fund. Let's say the company went down and they have like a bit of fund, then you can't claim. Or you have an extra income. This is just like basic things that you guys need to remember, need to know. Okay, now this is what we are going to get into. This is getting a bit more tricky at this point, but if you just listen up, you'll see it's very simple. Okay, the calculations overall is not that difficult. Okay, so UIF is calculated using a specific formula, and I will get to the formula in a bit, but it's the claim depends on his or income from employment or becoming unemployed. So what that means is, okay, UIF is calculated using a specific formula. It's actually not that difficult. I'm going to tell you now. It's 1% from you and 1% from your boss. It's that simple. Okay, together it makes 2%. Okay, I've run ahead, but that's okay. Now also, you can only claim from the UIF for the period that you have actually been employed. Okay, so what that means is let's say you were employed for 6 months. Okay, and therefore you are without a job for 6 months. You can only claim for that 6 months. Okay, I'll explain it to you again. Let's say you work for a company for a year. That's 12 months. Okay, you've paid UIF. Your boss has paid the UIF. All right, and so therefore a year after. Okay, so that, well, that's a bit of a tricky one at this point, but it's all dependent on the amount of money as well. Okay, but you can claim then for a year after that. But gentlemen, if you work for a year, we'll get to the calculations at this point. It's not going to keep you or sustain you, so therefore it's better for you to find a job as quickly as possible. Now, in the past, UIF is there's a scale, there's a limit, there's a ceiling to a UIF. Okay, with in October 2012, this limit was increased to 14,000. I think it was 12,000 if I remember, 12,478 rand if you look in your books. Okay. In 2012 in South Africa, this was increased to 14,872. So what that means is like if your excuse me, if your maximum salary, so if your salary in a month, okay, is lower than 14,870, there's a specific formula that works, but you can only go up until 14,872, meaning that you earn 178,464 annually. Okay, so gentlemen, you remember what does the term annually? It means a year, okay, on a yearly basis. So if you earn 14,872, that's the maximum amount that UIF will be calculated on. If you go over, let's say you make 15,000, UIF is only going to be calculated up until 14,872. Okay. Then in 2021, luckily for us, UIF was increased. Okay, so on the 1st of June, this was now raised to 17,712. Okay, so that means that the salary gap where UIF stopped was now increased to 17,000. Okay, that means that you earn 212,544 annually. Okay, these are important things that you guys need to remember. As I said, UIF is calculated on the salary and wages up to 17,000. Okay, if the salary exceeds that 17,000, then UIF stays maxed at the prescribed amount. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Okay. So let me just quickly show you the formula then. It's very simple. As I said in the beginning, the amount of contribution by an employee must be 1% of your salary. Okay. Now, before we get into this, okay, let's quickly do like the gross and the net salary. Okay. If I say to you gross salary, okay, what is the meaning of gross salary? Okay, so gross means entire. Okay, so the gross salary is, let's say you apply for a job, the boss says like, I'm gonna pay you 15,000 rand a month. Okay, now we all know, or if you didn't know this by now, you're not gonna put 15,000 in your pocket. Okay, I always want to ask like, why is that not? Okay, so there's a couple of reasons, and today we're dealing with one as well. Okay, so if you get paid 15,000 a month, okay, you're not going to get 15,000 in your pocket. All right, there's a couple of things that's going to be deducted. So that is your gross salary, 15,000. Okay, my easiest way to explain it to people, it means like gross is entire and net. Let's say you have a pond, okay, and your salary is like representation of fishes. Okay, so you have 15,000 fishes that's swimming in there. Okay, but now you're working, and so you throw out the net, okay, and so we all know that you can't catch all 15,000, so there's a couple that stays behind. Okay, it doesn't mean that there's a lot of them, but there's a couple stay behind, and so that is your net salary. So you've caught the net of what you've earned. Okay, I hope it makes sense. Gross, entire. Net is like you've casted a net. You went fishing, you casted it, and there's a couple of fish that stayed behind. That means that a couple of things that you had to pay for, okay, before you get your salary. Okay, so just to confirm, if you apply for a job, they say I'll pay you 15,000. You're not going to get 15,000. Okay, there's UIF. There's a couple of medical, whatever. There's a couple of lists. My brain is just not thinking straight at this point. But okay, let's get back to this one. There's a formula. You'll see that it's the employee must pay 1%. Okay, 15,000. 1% is. Anyone want to help me over there? So 15,000. What you do is 1 over 100. So the easiest I always do is just divide it by 100. Move the comma, and then you get your contribution. Okay. Now the employer, okay, your boss, must pay a total of contribution of 2%. But you said it's 1. Okay, let me explain it to you. 1% by you, 1% by them. Okay, and so therefore he deducts 1% from your salary, but he then also gives a percent from his side. Okay, and then that 2% is what he pays into the UIF, and so therefore, luckily for you, gentlemen, in your claim, you can get the 2%. If you understand what I'm saying. Okay, hope this makes sense. Okay, hopefully it makes sense. If it not, Ms. Kellerman will explain it to you a little bit better. Okay, so as an employer, it is his responsibility to pay 2% monthly. Okay, if the employer does not deduct these fees, she will be held personally liable to pay it over to the UIF out of their own pocket. Okay, that is very, very important. I want to encourage you guys, like when you're applying for a job and whenever, ask your boss, like, are they paying UIF? Okay, it's very, very important. Okay, so gentlemen, before you get too bored, let's quickly look at a couple of examples before we get into the book, because there's a couple of nice exercises that I want you to do, and then also you're going to do the revision exercise. But let's get into this, okay? Now, if I work 2 times a week, all right, and for 300 Rand a week, okay, that means I get 600 Rand a month. Okay, so let's quickly look at this. So UIF is 1% from the employee and 1% from the employer. That's 2% of my salary. Yes, you with me? Right, so that's 3 Rand from me and 3 Rand from them. So 600 times 12 gives us 7,200 annually. So gentlemen, as I said to you guys earlier, is that we need to remember that UIF is calculated from your gross salary. Okay, right? And so we said that the ceiling is 17,712. Okay, so you can't go higher than that. Okay, so therefore, let's quickly look at the UIF at this point. It means that, excuse me, gentlemen. So it's 3 Rand. That is so 6 Rand per month to my UIF has been paid into. Okay, so 1% from the 1% from 300 is 3 Rand. Okay, and so that is on a weekly basis. Okay, and then and then 300 from my boss. Okay. So let's do this example. Maybe this is just to explain this to you a little bit better. This is I earn 25,000 per month. Okay, so if someone earns 25,000 per month, thus they earn 300,000 annually. Okay. Oh, all right. So they earn 300,000 annually. Okay. My UIF is 177 Rand 12 cents. Okay, where or how did I get to this, gentlemen? Anyone want to help me? Okay, so my employer also adds 170, but how did I get to 117? Oh, excuse me, 177 Rand 12 cents. Like my salary is 25,000. How in the world did I get to 177 Rand 12 cents? Okay, for those of you who kept up with us or was listening in class, you remember that we said the cap of your UIF is 17,712. Okay, I'll remind you guys in the test if I ever have something like this, but normally we'll work under it, but just for you guys to remember that the cap or the ceiling is 17,712. So therefore, we take 1% of that, it's 177, and therefore my boss contributes the same amount, and therefore my UIF per month is 354 Rand and 24 cents. Okay, you with me there? So now if I ask you the question, what would be my monthly, what is the what would be my monthly contribution towards my UIF? That's the amount that you're going to be. Okay, so that's 354 because that is the 1% for my boss, 1% for me. That is it though. So now if I ask you, what is your annual contribution towards your UIF? It's very simple, gentlemen. Annual means yearly. So what you do is you take the 354, you times it by 12, and then you get 4,250 and 88 cents. It's that simple. Straightforward, very easy. Okay? All right. So let's quickly look at exercise number 2. Okay, so exercise number 2 in your book on page 189. Let's just quickly do the first one together, and then I'm going to leave you, and you can do the next and I'll give you the rest of the homework as well. So the first one, we said that calculate Nazir's monthly UIF contribution if his gross annual salary is 130,000. Okay, so gentlemen, what we need to do is break it down. Okay, we need to break it down, simplify, and then we will work through this. Okay, so it says calculate Nazir's monthly UIF. Okay, what do we need to calculate? The monthly UIF. Okay, right? Of his gross, we said that the gross, that's good, so we know that's the entire annual salary. So now we know, okay, this 130,000 is his annual salary. Okay, so what we need to do is to rip out your calculator. You say 130,000 divided by 12. That gives us a wonderful 10,833 cents. 10,833 and 33 cents. There we go. Just to get it for you guys. Now, what did I just calculate? Okay, if I take the 130 divided by 12, what did I calculate? Okay, I got his monthly salary. Okay, great. Now that I have his monthly salary, remember that UIF is how much percent? 1%. So all I said to you guys, it is times 1 over 100. Okay, just to make it easier for you, just take, you say a calculator, you say times 1 over 100. And for those of you who are clever, you will realize that that is divided by 100. Okay, and that gives us 108 Rand and 33 cents. Now, is that my UIF contribution? Yes or no? No. Why? Because 1% from me, 1% from my boss. So what I do is I say, okay, I have this amount times 2, and that gives us a wonderful 216 Rand and 66667. We know that what it means. We're working in Rand, so it's 216 and 67 cents. Okay, that is my that is Nazir's contribution, UIF contribution. Okay, that's very easy. Now, gentlemen, number 2 says Mosa earns 145,215 per annum. Per annum is yearly. Calculate the total annual UIF contribution based on this income. So the same principle is involved here. Okay, so what we do, we simplify, we break it down. Say, okay, gross salary for 145,000. Calculate the total UIF, okay, based on this as income. So what we do is the same thing. Maybe I'll give you a second. You know, try and do this one by yourself quickly and see if you can get this. Okay, just for interest, for time's sake, I'm gonna maybe stop it over here, pass it over to Ms. Kellerman, and then she can help you with this as well. Thank you, gentlemen. Yeah, so after you've done exercise, so same principle. Let me just help you there before I leave you and you cry. So 145,215. Okay, you divide it by 12. Why do we do this? We get the monthly salary. Okay, that's 12,101. Okay, now what do? We divide it by or times it by 100 over 1, and that gives us a lovely little 121 Rand. What we do is we times it times 2 because it's 1% from my boss, 1% from me. That gives us 242 Rand and 3 cents. And all we do then is times it by 12 again, because then we have the annual contribution. and that comes down to 2,904 rand and 3 cents. Okay, so that's exercise number 2, exercise 2, 1 and 2 finished. What I want you to do is exercise 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and that's it. All right, and so then your homework will be to do the revision. That will be a good exercise for you for Friday's test as well, because, gentlemen, this is very, very simple, very straightforward. It's not the most difficult concept we've ever covered. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good evening or good day.